This is me, it's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. So first and foremost, I must thank everyone who's donated and everyone who signed up to get readings in the past 24 hours. Because I told you guys I was on my paper chase. I am on my paper chase. I'm trying to raise all the money I need for next week for BronyCon. And I still have to pay for our accommodations and transportation and food and things like that. So this couldn't have happened at the worst time. This is the last con, and we had to make the last con. Like, I've been promising my daughter I was going to take her forever. And this is the last one. So even though I didn't really have the money for it, I bust my ass to try to make this happen. So thank you, everybody who's helping me with this goal. Also, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to come out here so we can have a live discussion, our sixth live discussion, on the book Being Me, Loving You by Marshall Rosenberg. And remember, I read pages 23 to 30 for tomorrow's talk. So if you want to catch up with me, please do. Okay? All right, guys. So we're going to talk about a really easy question that really made me laugh. And I've been asked this question many times, and I always laugh when I hear it because it's so true. Someone asked me, why do Aquarius ask so many damn questions? She said that she's been around a lot of Aquarius at work mostly and in school settings. And she said they ask so many questions. She was like, it'd be time to leave. And the Aquarius got another damn question. And she was like, why do so many Aquarius ask so many questions? And I was like, you got to understand something. Remember, I've always told you that Aquarius is an air sign. A lot of people get that twisted. There was an entire debate on a Facebook Aquarius group about why are we the water bearers, but we're an air sign. And this person that knew nothing about astrology wanted to dispute our element based on that. And I was like, you would have to know a lot more about astrology to dispute somebody's element. Now, some of us who know a little bit about it do wonder, because once upon a time I was reading something about Aquarius, and it was talking about how Aquarius was more closely related to electricity than water. And this person's whole theory was about our behavior and our nature. And I've always said that I feel like our element is spirit, the fifth element. Everybody leaves the fifth element out, and none of the zodiac signs are in the fifth element. And I've always said that Aquarius is really in the fifth element more so than being in the air element. But the air element doesn't, it does not match. It matches up very well as well. That's why it's hard to dispute it, you see. But if I had to say, I would say Aquarius was an air and spirit element. I would add them both. So anyway, so this whole debate was going on, and it was like, why do Aquarius ask all these damn questions? Aquarius ask a lot of questions because we are a very intelligent sign. We are classified as an air sign. And air signs do think and wonder. Air signs are very curious. Air signs usually write. They're usually the writers of the world. Air signs have a tendency to just be very intellectual. And this doesn't even have to be like their job. One of my best friends is always researching shit. like unrelated, unusual shit, and telling me about it. And it's pretty cool because he researches all these different things. Like one day it'll be vampires. Half a day later, he'll be researching finance. Half a day later, he'll be researching Bulgaria. I mean, he just skips to different topics that he hears about on TV or people talking about. And this isn't his job. His job, he's like, a upper management office worker, you know? So it's not like part of his job to research things, you know? Like if he was a professor or something like that, then it would make sense. But he's not. He's just he's like a manager, you know? And one of the things he really loves to do is research different topics. It's a very Aquarius thing to do, whether or not it's your profession or not. So Aquarius have the tendency to ask a lot of questions because we're very curious about a lot of things. We want to know everything. I know for me, as soon as somebody starts talking to me, I'm clicking. My wheels are turning. As soon as they're talking and I'm listening and I'm clicking, you know. And I got 1,000 questions by the time they finish talking. What was this? What was that? Why'd you do this? Who was that? I always have questions. Whenever somebody talks to me, they can tell me paragraphs of information. And the first thing for me, usually more so than a comment, is a question or questions. Aquarius do ask a lot of questions because Aquarius are very inquisitive. We're very intelligent and we think very quickly and constantly, you know. Some Aquarius have a problem sleeping because they can't shut their brain off from constantly talking to them. That happens to me sometimes. Usually it happens when I'm anxious about something. Like when I was moving from the United States and I was really anxious about, you know, the move and what I was going to do. And it was like, it was a big thing, you know? So I was very anxious for like a week or 2 or 3. I was extremely anxious. And it took a while for me, you know, to be able to sleep. And that's one of the things that was happening was my brain kept talking to me about what we had to do, what was already finished, what was this, what was that. Like my brain just kept skipping and I couldn't make it stop. It just kept on going over like this mental checklist, you know, of all the things that needed to happen before it was time for us to get on the plane. And my brain still does that whenever I have something I have to do that's important, such as flying somewhere or doing something along those lines. So Aquarius just have really fast brains, and our brains not only go over checklists, but think of questions, think of wholes. You know, we're always pulling things together. You're speaking and we're piecing things together, you know. Our brain is just always working like that. So I know that when I was a kid, this was a problem because an Aquarius child may ask a lot of questions and children ask a lot of questions, period. So you can imagine being an Aquarius child. I feel sorry for my teachers. I know they were probably like, oh my God. At the time, I didn't notice it. I was just wondering. I was so thirsty for the knowledge, you know, and my teachers were like God. I was like, ooh, they have all this knowledge, you know. So I did spend a lot of time talking to teachers and elders when I was a young girl. And still, all the way up into my 30s, that was something I still enjoy. I don't have as many elders around me now, but even when I am around them, I'm like listening to their stories, asking them questions. What was this like? What did you do about this? Because to me, that's just fascinating. They have, to me, older people have so much untapped knowledge, and I just want it. And I'm like, give me your knowledge, you know? So if you find yourself around Aquarius and they're asking a lot of questions, just know that that's very normal because our brain is like that. Our airy brain is like that, and it wants to know everything. It soaks up knowledge like a sponge. So the Aquarius may seem nosy to a lot of people, but it's not anything malicious. We're just so curious most of the time. Now, the dark Aquarius, if they start getting nosy and asking questions, they're probably plotting. Guaranteed. Because a lot of times when they start to ask questions, they're strategic to go along with their plots. You got to watch them, dark Aquarius. I told you about them. But usually when you're dealing with a lighter Aquarius, they're asking questions because they're just plain and simple curious. So answer the questions you feel comfortable answering and ignore the rest of them. That's what I do. When Aquarius do that to me, that's exactly what I do. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to some other wonderful person who may be wondering the same thing, especially somebody who's dealing with or has an Aquarius child. Poor Aquarius children asking all these questions. You know, pass it on. It may help somebody. All right, guys, come back soon because I have a lot more to say. See you later.